Hi, welcome to Go Smart Learn 3ds Max tutorial session. Today's session, you're going to learn about how to edit a particular geometry. We are going to make multiple clones in this box for now. In 3ds Max, we don't call it as copy, we call it as clones. Right click on the box and then you'll see a clone option over there. You'll have a different options called copy, instance and reference over there. We'll see one by one. Let's keep it as instance. As the clone has been created in the same point, we have to move it out. As you can see, my gizmo is changed into three-headed arrow because of this move option. Once you make it into move option, you will be having this. You keep your mouse exactly on one particular direction so that it gets highlighted, and then you should be able to move the box only in that particular direction. Your movement is restricted in that particular axis so that you cannot move it from one side to another side. It moves strictly only in one axis. Once that is done, let's create another clone from the source box. This time let's clone it and keep it as a copy. We'll give it as copy and we'll click OK. Now let's again move it while using only one arrowhead and keep it this side. So now you have two clones from the main source box. One is the instance and the next is the copy. The source box, let it be like that. We'll see the difference between copy and the instance. To know that, we need to see the parameters of the box. In the previous sessions, we've been taught that the parameters will be shifted to the Modify tab once you come out of it. In the Modify tab, you will be able to see these. Now let me adjust the amount of extrusion of the source. As you can see, the instance also changes according to the disturbance of the source box. But it doesn't affect the copy. So this is the difference between a copy and an instance. Remember people, the instance always gets affected by any disturbance or distortions which is happening in the main source block. Let's move on to the next one. So now let's start and try to move it in one direction. Or let's learn about the movement in one particular direction and moving it above another box. Let's say I want to move the small box to the top of the right side one. I want the vertex of these two junctions to meet with each other. These two vertex can be snapped together using an option called snap. Let's move it in one direction so that it stays at top for a while so that we can bring it to the other side. I am trying to snap the corners of both the boxes. In order to snap the corner, we have to switch on the 3D snap. Click and hold that button so that you'll get the drop-down list. Choose the 3 snap because the 3 snap is the one which helps you when your view is in a 3-dimensional format. Now you will be able to move the box freely in between. The box might appear and disappear at the moment, but don't worry, it always comes and sits at the right junction point. Let's try to move it in a particular position. If you want to get the vertex option and if you're not getting it, right click on the snap and choose the vertex option like this and close it off. Let's select the vertex, keep the vertex over there. Your mouse will get changed to a 4-headed arrow. Since your axis is restricted to one side, you have to choose carefully which axis has to be chosen before going for the vertex movement. Let's move it only in one direction. Don't try to go for 2 directions, which will always create a problem for the movement and snapping. So highlight only one. As I did, now I'm highlighting only X and then I'm trying to move it so that it comes and sits exactly at that particular point. Since my X is highlighted, it is not moving in Y direction. So let me change it to Y and let me pull it back. That's perfect. Now let's try start moving the next one and keep it on top of the center one. Let's try moving only in one direction at a time. It'll come back like this at times because of the snapping movement. But try again, it'll always come and sit exactly equal to the vertex points where you want it to go. When you use the arrowhead to move, the arrowhead gizmo and the vertex point always coincides in one parallel axis. Let's try moving it in the X direction so that it comes and sits here properly. Let's change the direction in which I want it to move, then wait for my mouse to change into four-headed arrow and move it, and you will be done so quickly. This is for the 3 snap. If your view is in only 2 dimension, for example length and width, you can use the 2.5 snap. You can always use the world cube, which is the right hand side, in order to rotate and see the whole world. If you change your snap to 2.5, you will not be able to make your box sit there perfectly. You already have the axis restriction, but still, as you can see, even though you kept it in Y, it is not moving it in Y, because the 2.5 is only for the length and width, not for the height. So it is better you always give for the 3 snap when your view is in 3-dimensional. When you are trying to snap it, it always creates a problem. So please listen to this lesson carefully and master this technique before going for any other modeling purpose. Snapping and movement is the most basic and fundamental thing which helps you in creating the most elegant features. A simple movement will take this much time. Imagine how long will it take to make a whole new project. It will not take more than 5 minutes in order to learn this movement option. The moment you learn everything, it will be easy for you in the forthcoming steps. That is all for the movement. Let's learn about rotate. Rotate is as same as the movement, but the gizmo changes from a 3-headed arrow to a 3-directional rotation ball. You can choose each direction at the single time and move them in one direction. You will be able to rotate them according to their pivot axis. The gizmo acts as the pivot axis and rotates the object however and wherever they want. Even if you want to make it as a perfect angular snapping, let's say about 90 degree, all you have to do is switch on the angular snap over there. When you switch it on, you will have to make sure that it rotates perfectly. Now when you try to rotate, the box rotates and stops at every 5 degrees so that you can rotate perfectly at 90, 180, 270 and 360. This angular snap helps a lot while you are making a complicated object. While trying to moving, make sure your snap is in the correct position and which one you're trying to snap. If you're having difficulty snapping, switch off the snap, move the object nearer to the place where you want it to come, and then switch on the snap again. It will work perfectly fine without any restrictions. People, please make sure when you are about to move, your mouse arrow should change into a 4-headed arrow. That is when it means you're ready to move. If not, please don't try to move. It will always select another object. As I said like before, it will always appear and disappear. Use the right side world cube, click and rotate, and hold your mouse button and rotate in order to view around the object. Once it is done, we can go for the next topic. The next one is about scale. Scaling is nothing but making the object bigger or smaller. It works in the same principle as the moving and rotation. You can choose one axis at a time, or two axes at a time, or three axes at a time in order to scale it bigger or smaller. The shortcut keys for these are given on the screen. Please have a look through it in order to make use of it, because these are the small things which gives you the most detailing works which has to be done. If you want to scale in two axes together, you can use and you can wait till it's getting highlighted on the two axes, or just pull one axis at a time in order to make it bigger. That is it for today's session, guys. I'll see you in another session with different topics.